Hello everybody and welcome along to this edition of the Rebel White Ball. And I suppose, look, if every Tom, Dick and Harry and their cousins has a view on the Gordon Elliott affair, if you're going to call it that, sure, we may as well have one as well. My God, what an incredible story. And I suppose if there were three groups of people that would, contacted to express gratitude to Gordon, I'm sure Micheál Martin would probably be in that league. He kept him out of the limelight for most of the week. Those protesters in Dublin last Saturday, their actions, whatever you view on that, they disappeared off the public airways for a while. And not to mention the students in UL who were up to some crack during the week and caused a lot of grief, I presume, for their neighbours up there in the environs of the University of Limerick. But anyway, it was some incredible week in the world of racing, and it took some act, a man standing on a dead horse, to maybe make us forget about the coronavirus and the unusual lives that we've been experiencing. And for one moment, let me say, I'm not trying to belittle the actions of Gordon Elliott and all of this. I suppose, if you go back in horse racing, those of you that followed and maybe those of you that don't, some of you might be, of the belief this is the sport of kings. Gordon Elliott didn't come from a family that was steeped in equestrian background or anything like that. His father was a panel beater and his mother a housewife. And, he started as a jockey with Martin Pipe, I think it was. And he was quite successful as an amateur jockey. I think he rode, on the point-to-point circuit, probably rode over 200 winners, and that's no mean achievement whatsoever. Then at 28, around that age, he took out a licence. And, obviously at that stage, I don't know what he had in terms of money, but it can't be an awful lot at 28 years of age, not coming from a privileged background. And I suppose before he had any winner in Ireland, the fact that Silver Birch won the Grand National in 2007 was the start of an incredible journey for him. Of course, he was helped in like the fact that some serious owners came on board, including the Michael O'Leary crew. And, he set up the stables. This guy is a self-made man within the context of that. And, set up stables up around Longwood in County Meath, bit of a hurling area. And, it has grown. He is now one of the most successful, I should say, he was last Saturday, one of the most successful trainers in this country, right up there with Willie Mullins. And, if you take it that these guys are the best across the whole of Ireland, England, Scotland and Wales. And it just tells you it was an incredible rise to the top. There's 80 staff working for him. He had an incredible number of entries for Cheltenham, and then that one photograph. And again, it was terrible, it was stupid, it was crass, it lacked class. And within 100 hours, his livelihood, his life was destroyed. And the incredible outpouring of abuse across social media and across all the media, not alone social media, and the way the stories have dominated the headlines. If I was to go to the end of it, has it gone too far? Without any doubt whatsoever. And I'm not too sure, things have happened in racing in the past that have been far worse than this. Absolutely. And I just wonder, has it something to do with, we're a different society now, of course, when a lot of these other things happened. And I'm only talking about the past, maybe 10 or 15 years. And animal welfare is a huge thing now in people's lives. And if this was to be extended away out, where does it leave the future of racing? Horses will probably die in Cheltenham in over 10 days' time, the entry Grand National, all of that. Now, I know that people will point at the difference, that in Gordon Elliott's case, pose and all that. But look, and I'm not saying at the end of the day, this man stood on a dead horse. There's a lot that, there's a whole subplot of stories after building up around this. One of them is why was this done? Why was this photograph released? And who released it? And obviously the word revenge comes to play. And, you know, that can be anybody. And I would feel for, I think about those people that maybe get their kick, or maybe the solution to some perceived problem, that revenge is the answer. I'm not too sure about it. The incredible irony that's attached to it, insofar as that a couple of years ago, you may remember that Willie Mullins, that a lot of O'Leary's horses were in Willie Mullins' yard, and Michael O'Leary, who obviously drives a hard bargain, felt that by moving to Gordon Elliott, he'd save himself maybe £50 a week in a horse. And the next thing, they all moved, a lot of horses moved from O'Leary's, from Mullins' yard, down in Carlow, up to Gordon Elliott's yard in County Meath, and wanted, as I said, ironic when Cleverly Stud, they decided to move 8 of their horses out of it, and 4 of those went back down the road, if you like, to Mullins's. And I mean, if you were can you imagine if you were working the stable, working with those horses? And remember, there were 80 people working there. What an awful week they have had. I know there's racing integrity involved here as well, and of course, like the doping scandal that we saw there, where Viking Board, that horse that was held up because it was doped, end of story. And was it the first horse that was doped? Would you go away from me? And that horse was back to lose 3,200 put on. Sorry, there was 35,000 put on that horse to win 3,200. Need to say any more. And then, you know, you had the Rob Jane situation, that jockey, an Irish jockey who actually rode winners for Gordon Elliott. There was another video of him circulating, standing or jumping on a dead horse. And then, of course, I think there's a thing going on between the British Horse Racing Authority and the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board, and the BRA as they call it, and the IHRB. And like, there's something else at play there as well. And of course, there's the whole social media situation. But you could ask though, what does it say about us as a nation? When you had, is it 15 or 16 boys working for Davies? These were tie-on, top-notch, right? And Davies were fined €4.1 million for their actions in a transaction. No, you can take it. They wouldn't find that for taking your last Rolo. Was there much about it? Not at all. Was it a crime far greater than Gordon Elliott? Well, you can make up your own mind on that. But tomorrow morning, anyway, he's in, and of course, like, this is going to capture the imagination again. What should happen to him? Well, Ted Walsh, and we've spoken about the Walsh family before, the purveyors of all good. Ted Walsh reckons he should, you know, take a sabbatical, hand in his licence. Well, I hope to God he doesn't. If they want to take it off him, fair enough. And I presume that there's going to be a fine, and this man is going to obviously have to accept all of this. And I suppose, look, it's amazing, isn't it, that whatever the Irish Racing Regulatory Board do tomorrow, it would satisfy the British guys. My God, that's a painful thing at times when you think about it. Yeah, but has he suffered enough? Without any shadow of doubt. This is a man that stood on a dead horse. And again, as I say, I'm not taking from it. But again, now there's another movement around, and there's another hashtag. Like, we're all hashtags now. Hashtag be kind. Stand with the frontline workers. Stay at home. And now there's the hashtag stand with Gordon. So yeah, we've had talked about racing here a little bit in the past, and by What I know about it now is absolutely minuscule. I know it is a huge industry. I know a huge number of people that, get great satisfaction and great pleasure out of it. And, it's right across the horse and pony fraternity. But one thing that did strike me if you like, was the betting company that felt they had to remove their sponsorship. My God Almighty, a betting company deciding that their good name was besmirched by a man standing on a dead horse. We call back to that again at another time. As to what else might be happening, well, as I said, the Garden Elite kept a lot of political happenings out of the main public arena. But the Northern Ireland Protocol is back in business. And Boris, what a man. And you can read what I'm thinking about him. But anyway, he's gone on a solo run as well. He's given the two-finger salute to the European community one more time by basically, there was a grace period granted, as you know, to British food companies that were selling into Northern Ireland, that, that they wouldn't have to provide all the necessary paperwork for 3 months. That's up now at the end of March. And just at a whim, he decided to extend it. And the Europeans, this is another test of them. There's a lot of tests going on now. And it would appear that Boris might be even, moving up a little bit. His vaccine program seems to be going okay. I know this. So other than that, we can move back to the actions on sport. In GAA, there was nothing major. I suppose the big story here in Cork was the announcement during the week that this Rebels Bounty draw is proving to be a great success. And despite the reluctance earlier on of people maybe to buy into it, the clubs have, and they have delivered, and they have answered the cause in terms of, fulfilling their responsibility to the county board. And it would appear now that the vast majority of clubs have sold their quota of tickets. And what this really means now is that if any of you out there want to buy a ticket for €100, the entire €100 goes to your local GAA club, and you're into a draw. You might have chance of winning a prize, and there's some, there are some handy prizes, including the top prize at the end of the year of €100,000. So I think that's, good news for the county board, good news for the draw. A thing it did though is that a number of people that are involved in this, they liaise with clubs, they started talking to clubs. But I think maybe they looked under the bonnet of some clubs, and I'd say that they may have seen that the oil needed changing in one or two of them, or maybe more. So I would hope that this draw would be the cause of maybe developing better relationships, more practical relationships between the county board and the clubs. And look, there are clubs in Cork that are probably not functioning as they should. And maybe, after clubs are bought in out of this thing, the county board now have a responsibility as well to get back in business. Well done, by the way, to a Cork man, John Halbert, I should say, not John Hatton. John Halbert from Glenville Watergrass Hill, who was selected by Larry McCarthy, the president of GAA, to sit on the 5-person high-powered competitions control committee. He's a good guy and a knowledgeable individual, and a seriously functioning brain as well, by all accounts. In terms of soccer, and my God, are we getting so fit of it this weather? There's so many matches on, and I wonder if they're taking a bit of the good out of it in one sense. But anyway, the Manchester City success story goes on, and courtesy of their 4-1 victory over Wolves, it means they've now gone 21 matches without a victory, without losing a match, my apologies, on a winning streak. And, they're heading for all sorts of records. They're 14 points ahead of the Premier League. Tonight we've 3 matches they're on. Spurs are back in action against Fulham. They had a good win over Burnley, 4-0 in their last game. Everton, doing well this season, I would think. They had a 1-0 win over Southampton. They play West Bromwich Albion, and Liverpool, after getting back in scoring in the scoring stakes with their 2-0 win over Sheffield Wednesday, take on Chelsea, and of course Chelsea, who were involved in that draw with Manchester United. Then on Saturday, you've got Arsenal versus Burnley. Things going okay for Arsenal again. And then on Sunday, you've again, Liverpool now in action against Fulham in the big game in terms of, the Manchester derby, Manchester City versus Man United. Man United were playing Crystal Palace last night. The fog was really thick, and for most people, particularly United supporters, don't have thick enough, such was the paucity of the standard in that particular game. It was poor form. It was poor stuff, I should say. But anyway, that'll all be forgotten when Sunday will come around. And finally, in terms of soccer, Swansea, our team that we've been following because of Conor Hourahan, they're in 4th position, right? Stay in the top 6, that'll do them. And they play Middlesbrough, I think, on Saturday. This is a big weekend in terms of athletics for 23 Irish athletes. Sadly, Darren McElhinney had to withdraw from the Irish team. Would be going to Poland this weekend to take part in the European Indoor Championships. Now, I think it was a corona-related situation that has prevented from taking part. It's not at the end of the world for this young man from Glengarriff because, he's concentrating on the 23 championships, which are later on. And, this was going to be a learning process for him. I don't think he was going to be in with a chance at the medals. But for the Healy sisters from Ballineen, this is another big opportunity for them. And obviously Phil, who is now probably the better known of the two sisters, takes part in the 400 metres. Like she's an absolutely outstanding sprinter. But on this occasion, for the last 2 championships, she's about to semi-final stage. She's hoping to get to the final this time. And, she said at an athletics meeting recently, she said her personal best at 51.99 seconds. So, hopefully she will get to that final. And who knows, she may even end in the medals. And then her sister Joan is going in this in the 60-metre dash. Whereas Phil is a full-time athlete, as we said, Joan, who had a good few problems with injuries, is a full-time teacher as well. But she's her personal best of 7.31 seconds. Imagine that, 7.31 seconds. Little room for error is the 4th best in ever run by an Irish athlete. So we wish those 2 girls, and of course all the Irish athletes, the very best of luck at those meetings. In terms of rugby, nothing major happening except, I suppose, you have the Pro 14. There are 2 big games on involving the Irish provinces. On Friday night, Munster play Connacht, and basically, if Connacht don't win this, Munster will top that league. Leinster play Ulster. The very same situation applies there. Ulster have to win, and that one. And at the moment, with the 2 top teams coming to qualify, there's only 3 games left as of now, 2 after this weekend. And of course, the news in contract is that Johnny Sexton's career is almost over. He's got a 1-year extension, and Peter O'Mahony, the Munsterman, has got a 2-year extension. So you can see that their professional lives of soccer players is slowly coming to an end. Our final thing this weekend is to bring you good, well, I suppose, yeah, we could say good news. Courcey Rovers GAA Club are hosting a webinar on, the title is Emotional Health, and it's in association with Kinsale Community School and the Kinsale Youth Support Services. Now, this webinar, which is open to everybody from transition year up, is on next Thursday night. That's March the 11th at 7:30. And, if hopefully you can join it from any part of the planet, and you just log into the Courcey Rovers website, and the link, you'll get the link from there. The guest speaker is a guy called Conor Cusack. Some of you will know him, probably he's a former hurler, but no, he's a serious, I suppose, player in this whole area of mental health. He's a mental health advocate, if you like, and by all accounts, a very good speaker. So he will be addressing this webinar. There'll be contributions as well from Linda Collins, who is the Cork Camogie captain. She's from Courcey Rovers country. Ger Rice from the Kinsale Youth Support Services, who has a lot of experience in this whole area. And they'll be a member of the Croke Park National Health Club's project team, will be also contributing. And like this whole area of mental health, it's awesome, it's frightening in one sense. But I mean, it has to be spoken about, and I suppose the more awareness of it, it has to be the way forward. And I remember one time talking to an individual about a particular education program as to the effectiveness of it. And his argument was, or he was a wise individual, and my God, I could do with me meeting wise individuals and meeting a lot more of them. But his response was dead simple. I was kind of questioning the value of it, and he said, remember, 1 is a positive number. And if one person will get something from this next Thursday night, no matter where they're from, no matter what age they are, it will be very well worth having. So well done to Courcey Rovers, to Kinsale Community School, and to the Kinsale Youth Support Services for their huge work. And I know they're putting a lot of effort into it. It's not an easy thing to do, but at the same time, now the way it's going to be done, you know, you can join in from anywhere, so please do. So that's it till the next time. You know, thank you for your company. It's greatly appreciated. I can guarantee you of that. So until we meet again, stay safe.